All right, what's up, guys? We are back with another podcast episode, and I think we've got a really fun one this week. We've got some small news updates we want to go over. We're going to talk about the Boomstik. That just came out this week. I'm sure everyone's aware of that, but Aizec's been using it a good bit and has some thoughts. And then we're also this week going to go over kind of our review process, because I realize this is something we've never formally talked about, and I've kind of assumed people knew. But after thinking about it, I was like, wait, there's no reason for people to have known, like, we do certain things. And this was inspired by a video I saw online. So I want to talk about that because I think some of you will find it pretty interesting. And then we have a lot of Q&A questions inside of the kitchen that we're going to go over that we got from Instagram this week. So I think it's going to be pretty fun. So anyways, let's get into it. First thing we've got that I want to go over, I saw this, I think, posted in my Discord, and I started messing with it this morning, but it's this, I think it's literally called Pickleball Journal. And it's just an app that kind of lets you track and log a lot of things related to your pickleball game. And I thought it was pretty cool. So I'm going to screen record this so we can just show this on the pod for B-roll, and then I'll just show you at the same time here.
Yeah.
But, okay, so like you open the app. I've already put some entries in. So one of the first things that's kind of interesting is you can click this plus button, and there's like things to work on, things to remember, and then like a journal entry. And so I wrote some random things like things to remember, backhand drop, drop the fifth. Because I've had a lot of times when especially if I'm in a mindset of like, okay, I'm trying to improve right now, I'll go to some rec games and be like, here's what I want to focus on today. But a lot of times I get there, I brought some paddles I need to test for work, and then I immediately forget about it. So it would be kind of nice to always have this. And the second you open it, the home screen, it's like, here's the reminders for today, you know? So I think that's kind of cool.
I like that.
Then you can also log your game. So like I logged, a fake one in here, which you can mark your opponents, and I did have it beating you 12-10, just so you know.
This guy. Still dreaming.
But you can log whether it was open play, a tournament, the games won and lost, what the scores were. And actually one thing I think is really cool is the effort rating. And the reason I like this is because I think for myself, I kind of like to know, I will know in the moment how hard I pushed myself, but it'd be kind of nice to know throughout the whole week, like, were you playing light or were you playing hard? And it kind of helps me know, like, how hard do I want to push it? Like, okay, I played a whole week and I was a 10 out of 10 effort. I probably shouldn't push it. And, your body will obviously give you physical signs. But I just think that's kind of cool to kind of see, like, effort trends.
We need a collab. Not us, but this and PB Vision. If you integrated those two.
Oh, that would be sick.
That would actually be pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. That would be pretty sweet.
PB Vision and these, they should talk. If you guys are listening, you should talk.
Link up.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. But then another tab is they have these analytics based on the matches you enter. So first it'll tell you like how often you're playing pickleball and like different amount, like if you've played every day. So I think that's kind of cool. It'll tell you your streak, whether you were playing tournaments or open plays, you can kind of see. And then this is kind of that effort rating thing I was talking about. So, obviously I only have one entry, but showing your distribution curve of like, you know what? Like when you play open plays, you play like 50% effort. I just think that's kind of cool to be able to see. And then you can also see like, did you feel like you were playing amazing? That's to me.
Just being able to track the data and see it visually is pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah. I love being able to see things visually. I think that's really cool. They do also have some other features in here, like equipment management. So you can enter like shoes, paddles. For me, this isn't that helpful, but I do think like if you wanted to log hours on like shoes and be like, yeah, I'm at 20 hours.
Yep.
Time to replace them. That's kind of cool.
It's a cool feature.
You can also do like expense management. So I think that's kind of cool for people who, if you have a spouse and they don't like your pickleball spending habits, maybe you don't want this part of the app.
you hide that.
Or the spouse is going to really want it, But if you wanted to know how much you're spending on pickleball and if it's becoming a problem, this would be a cool way to see it. Like, oh yeah, I bought 8 paddles this month. Maybe I should stop buying paddles.
Dude, I know you guys are out there. I know you're there.
We're all out there. So it's just cool. Actually, I just saw this. They have a light. Oof, I'm blind.
Oh, he's just flashbanged both of us.
Don't do the light mode.
Oh my goodness.
Keep it in dark mode.
Look, for anyone that uses light mode, I'm concerned for your eyes.
Dude, dark mode is the only way. If you're in light mode for anything right now, please do yourself a favor and change it to dark mode.
Yeah.
Shouldn't even be
every app in existence should have a dark mode.
I agree. So that's most of the app. I think it's really cool. I do think one thing I would love to see if they were going to add features would be a this is more for it would just be fun with friends, is like you can say which people you played with. It'd be cool if you could almost tag people and then it remembers and you could have like a win-loss record against your friends. Because I'm telling you right now, they had that. I'm logging every single one of our rec games.
I know you keep your mental spreadsheet going on that one.
But now I have proof. Like, I have beat you 20 of the last 8 times we've played.
That would actually be
20 of the last 28 times.
That'd be a fun, cool feature. And then integrate that somehow, or you can like, I don't know, text it, have it linked to a text. You can send it back and forth. I don't know. That could be a fun little thing. That's cool. I do like that app. I'll have to download that.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty cool. It's not free. I think they offer 2 versions. So there's like, and I'm not a huge fan of subscriptions, but I also understand, this person who made this app, they got to eat. Yep. So I want to say like a year subscription is between like $25 and $30. And then if you did monthly, it's like $3. So it's really not that expensive. Like people spend more on that than a cup of coffee in like, a week or something.
Exactly.
So not egregious. I think it's cool for people who are probably more on the serious side of improving. If you're casual, whatever. But I do think that's cool.
I think if, this is just all hypotheticals, if Pickleball Vision was integrated to that and then they made it like $15 a month and it gave you like a couple, like 2 credits, where you can log 2 matches into Pickleball Vision, then it's connected to that. You can add more obviously later. That'd be pretty worth it. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
I do think that collab would be pretty sick.
Yeah, I like that. It's a good app.
So next up, I just wanted to mention, give a shout out. We did this once a long time ago, but he's still writing killer articles. So Speak Pickleball. If you go to speakpickleball.com, he does a lot of written articles. He doesn't really do doesn't do any video content, but it's a lot of articles, and he's been doing these story profiles. So he did Brian from Building Pickleball. He did Kyle Kazuda. He's done like a handful of people, and he's been posting them on Instagram. And I thought Instagram, the carousels were like the full story, but then he told me like, no, those are just a condensed version that I thought would be interesting for Instagram. And there's actually much longer articles. So I was reading through some of them. Like I read Brian's, and his story was really interesting. I also read the most recent one about a guy who like lost a lot of weight, kind of had his life transformed through pickleball. It's just very wholesome stories, and I think it brings back the vibes of kind of old pickleball where it's like, oh yeah, like people's lives are being changed, like people are finding happiness through pickleball. Like if you want some feel-good stories, go read those. It's like a lot of them are person was in a bad place, person's now in a better place because of pickleball and like the obstacles they faced along the way. It's very cool. So I'll leave that linked in the description. Great articles.
Yeah, he writes great stuff. He's got good content. I like him.
For sure. So that's most of just what we had for like quick news and updates. The next thing I want to talk about that's paddle-wise is the Selkirk Labs Project Boomstik. So I already did a full review. Most of you have probably already seen it. If you haven't, you can go check that out. But you, surprisingly, have really liked this paddle, and I don't think I saw that coming. So tell us about it.
Stick go boom.
Stick does go boom.
I'm typically not a power paddle person. I usually just feel like I can hit the ball hard enough with an all-court paddle. There's no need to sacrifice anything with the downsides of power paddles. But man, as we talked about the other week, power paddles are just getting so good that sweet spots feel amazing, spins good, easier to control. I wouldn't call them easy to control, but easier for sure.
Yeah, easier than they've been.
Exactly. And, getting to a higher level, need to start, competing, against poppier paddles, more threatening counters. So I've just started playing with more power paddles, and yeah, the Boomstik just fits everything. 60 millimeter paddle, elongated, spin is really good. The spin is crazy. Like I was drilling two-handed backhand drives, and dude, the shape I could get on it was wild. I love how it feels. It's a satisfying feedback. It's very quick rebound, very springy. It's got a springy feel, but it's very fast. It doesn't feel like the ball sinks in. It does sink in, but it doesn't hold it.
But it doesn't hold it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not like the GX2 where it's like a catch and throw. It's like a
very quick rebound. It hits and springs, and I love that feeling. And so everything about it has just felt very comfortable. The sweet spot is huge. Like,
you know what I don't think I ever would have had on my 2025 bingo card is you even remotely considering a Selkirk paddle, or probably even saying a nice thing about a Selkirk paddle.
Neither did I. All right, it was not in my plans either.
So you did like the era, but also no one really saw the era coming either.
Era was good, but wasn't something that I felt like I'd switch to.
Sure.
Now the Boomstik, I mean, we hit a prototype of it a long time ago when we went there, and I loved it back then. And now that we have a final version, I think it's great. I really like how it feels. My only complaint is still the Selkirk issue for me, the handle. Needs some modification. Now, if you like to tinker, I was able to get the handle to feel okay. Immediately take off the stock grip. That's got to go. Then I tweak the butt cap a little bit and kind of finagle it into a better position. Everyone's going to be...
Because you don't like how it flares out.
Exactly. Every single one's going to be a little different how it's put on. So I'm not going to give too much detail on how to fix it because it might be different for everyone. And then I put 2 overgrips on it. I use either Lukey. I really like the Turna Megatac grips, but whatever I've got, 2 overgrips on it, and then it's good enough. My only other complaint I will say that I've found I don't like that much is the edge guard kind of comes to a point and it's kind of sharp on the edge. And so when I hold a 2E where the base of my thumb is, and you can see I've got a bit of a callus there, it digs into my thumb and it I almost feel like I need to tape my thumb or put a piece of tape on the edge guard there because it kind of hurts.
Yeah.
So that's my only complaint. Other than that, everything else is amazing. Counters are crazy. Overheads are wild. If I get an overhead where I don't have to move that far off the baseline, that ball is gone.
Yeah.
So far, I've struggled to find play-wise many things that I don't like about the paddle. I don't feel like I'm popping up many dinks, whereas like traditional power paddles, like the Engages or the Paddle Techs or any of those are super poppy paddles. Were kind of hard to control at the kitchen, where this drops are super easy. You just don't
I think
need to...
so much of it comes down to the fact that the sweet spots have gotten so much better. Like Paddle Tech is a great example on the other side of power paddles now, or the old Gearbox Pro Power Elongator, where it's like you had insane power, but as soon as you missed off, the drop was so substantial that it's like, okay, if you were hitting a drop and you missed, maybe you didn't lose all your power, but it was enough that the way you were swinging wasn't enough. And I think a lot of the power paddles, like the Boomstik, you can still miss with that same swing, and it's enough to be fine.
Yeah. That margin, that window of margin where it's still okay. You know, you miss a little high, they might get a roll, not an overhead, or it might tip off the tape, and roll over. Whatever. It feels really good. I love the feeling of the sweet spot. And it's just, everything feels easy. Resets feel really easy. I just don't feel like I have to put much into it to get the ball to go over the net. And
Which is how you like to reset.
Exactly. I like not having to swing through the ball a lot. And yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised. I will definitely be using this paddle if I have to go. Like if I was to go play a PPA or UPA approved tournament, Boomstik's the one I'm grabbing.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. I love how it feels.
So I'd be curious. Obviously, I don't think so far that you've applied any weight in any other different areas, but I'm curious your take on where the weight was, because I talked about this in the review, but I think it's the way they did the weight, it's a double-edged sword. Either it's going to be perfect for you or it's going to annoy you a lot. I still think that the ranges they're in, still a lot of room to customize. Like at 118, which is one of the units we got, for you still have more than enough room. In fact, that's probably like on the lighter end of an elongated for you. Yeah. The wide body, for me, is probably in the range that I would end up customizing most of my wide bodies to.
We also got like a tank of a wide body.
We did.
We got a heavy one, which was crazy. Because like John's was, I think, static weight like 8.1.
Yeah.
Ours was like 8.5.
Yep.
We got a heavy one.
We did get a really heavy one. So most of them will be lighter, 113, which is like, I think, fine for a wide body.
That's light.
But I do think that had they either just done like 7.5 grams each side, that's a full half ounce. Like
a lot of weight.
It is a lot of weight. So I feel like if they did 3.5 grams, the performance still would have been there, and then it would have given people more options. But what I will give them credit for is the weight setup for both of them, both the elongated when I've played it and the wide body. I haven't felt that I really need to place any other weight on it.
Sure.
And like, I know you can be a little bit more picky about your weight placement. Like, do you feel like it still needs weight even with what it has on there? Or are you like, it's fine, I don't really need to change it?
I think I could play with it without adding weight, but I definitely do want to add weight. I think I can improve how it feels.
Okay.
I think I'm going to be a little bit more limited for where they put the weight on it.
But I feel like the spot you usually like is the bottom corners anyways, which doesn't really overlap.
Yes, but I have been changing my weight setups recently with different paddles.
Okay,
a lot
sure.
of different. I've kind of changed things now that I'm not using the Shogun, and I've been testing a bunch of other paddles. I've been testing all kinds of different weight setups, wrapping around the head, up the sides of the paddles, just wherever different weight or what is the word I'm looking for? I'm blanking out here.
Distribution, density.
Density. That's the word I'm looking for. Different weight densities. So I've been trying a bunch of different things, but that is probably my biggest pain point with the Boomstik. It doesn't compute in my head their weight system. Like, I think it's a good idea. Okay, they made a paddle that, yes, it's going to play good out of the box right away, but it just, for the type of paddle it is, it doesn't make sense to have that weighting system and only sell it like that. Because I feel like if you want a paddle, yes, to play good straight out of the box, typically you're marketing that towards people who are newer, don't have as much experience putting weight on a paddle, maybe don't know what it does, and so they just want to buy something and have it play good right away.
Yep.
Right? So I feel like that's something you should put on more lower end paddles, and then more experienced people like pros are going to want to put their own weight setup and know what they want to do with it. It doesn't, for having their flagship paddle and then sticking it on there and only selling it like that, just doesn't quite make a lot of sense. I get it if people were to buy one without it and then say, oh, it doesn't play good right out of the box, not knowing it needs weight, probably would be an issue.
I do think that if let's say they were going to do a fully, the light version, they weren't going to add any weight to it. I do think that at that point, similar to what they've done with other labs paddles, you would probably need to include weight. Yeah. And then what I would also have is like an infographic card that like explicitly says, this paddle needs weight. Here are the locations we recommend if you want to optimize the weight, because then at least you've got the option. You can take it off. It's not a thing that like could damage or break. If you hit it against something else, people can adjust it. But I think we've seen this. This is why like I can see both sides, and I think it's a really tough spot to be, is we've seen other paddles and companies who have given that option. Let's take the Chorus Fire. Let's take old gearboxes that were on the lighter side. I would say even some of the paddle techs before they started doing the balls, like there's a number of paddles we could pick and choose here. Franklin C45.
Yeah, it's a great one.
And what was the main thing everyone said with the C45 in like every review? This thing sucks if you don't add weight. Mm-hmm. And if you're a company, the last thing you probably want to hear in every review is this paddle's not good unless you add weight. Because then you have all these people who are going like, well, what if I don't want to add weight? Well, then I don't want it. I'll just buy something that's already good. Mm-hmm. I'll go buy a Pro 4 because it's already good out of the box. So that's like, it's tough.
I definitely understand being put in that position, but I also, from the other side of the coin, even though majority of people are going to, like us or reviewers, are going to say, yes, it needs weight, right? It needs weight. But I do think there's still people out there that play with the C45 without weight. So just not having the option, if you're, say, somebody who wants that, likes that feeling of the Boomstik, likes the feedback, likes the sweet spot, but I know people with wrist injuries, and this would be too heavy with this weight. But if it didn't have the weight, they'd probably be in the range where they could use it, right?
Yeah.
And so I think just not having maybe not selling another option where it comes weightless.
I do think that would be good if they just sold another version. That seems like it would solve a lot of the issue.
Just doesn't make any sense. What is the issue with having two different units, one with weight and one without? What does that hurt?
You have like, you can call the weighted one Pro Tuned, and you can call the other one just the Boomstik.
Yeah, exactly. Like free customization. I don't know. Like they could come up with something way better. They have a marketing team. But it just doesn't make sense why they don't do that, because someone like me would much prefer to be able to put my own weight wherever I want instead of being forced into having those weights on there. And I think a lot of people would like to have the option. Yes, there's going to be people who want to just grab it out of the box, play with it, and be happy. I also personally just think it looks kind of ugly.
I think it looks nice. I like how it looks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I can't. That's the only thing about it that I think just looks off.
Sure.
And I'm just not a huge fan.
Yeah, I think it's just a nice accent.
It's not, I make it sound like a bigger deal than it is. It doesn't bother me that much. It's not to the point where it's like,
something really ugly.
J4K.
Sure.
Where it's so ugly I can't even hold it, you know? But it's like, it is just like, we have one without a weight on it. And I think that one looks way better. Oh, do you have it here?
I forgot to hold this up this whole time. But we have one without weight.
Look at this. Like this, doesn't this look amazing? Like no weight on it. It's clean. It just looks so much better.
Also, I think like, let's say they did a weightless version, they could have like put some markings that's like, here's where you put the weight. Here's what we recommend. Here's how much type of thing.
I just think if this is your highest flagship paddle recommended to high level players, give us the option.
That's one of the things I find most interesting. And I would love if like Selkirk had some sales data or if they knew. But I think there is, when I review this paddle and I see the pop and power of it, I go, this is for sure for a high level player. Like someone below 4.5 should not use this paddle. Can they use it? Sure, if they want to, but I don't think it's best for most people, and they probably will. So my opinion is it should basically be a high level pro built paddle. But I would love to know through all their lab sales data, it's expensive. A lot of the times the paddles are probably for better players. 003 kind of anyone could use, but maybe they have found that the average person buying a labs paddle, let's just say they averaged all the dupers, and it's like 425. And they're like, okay, you know what? We know that the vast majority of people buying labs paddles actually don't put weight on it. Like we are making the assumption because of the price and the performance that it should basically only be higher level players, but they might have some back end data that's like, actually the people who are really buying this, it averages out to this and they don't put weight. So that's why we did it.
And I definitely believe that. But then just cutting off the head of all of your higher level player audience that do know what to like, or like what their preferences with weight are, and just not giving them the option.
Because swing weights on this are crazy without the weights.
Dude.
107 for the elongated and 102 for the wide body.
Unheard of for elongated.
107 elongated is crazy.
Dude, the things I could do with the weight with this. I'm taking this one. This is mine. Like, it's crazy. I also just think, like, why not give us the option to at least remove it? Like, maybe there's an engineering aspect where it's just not going to work with that design where you can put it on and take it off and have it stay there. But I just think that it is very frustrating that we put it here, you can't take it off, you're stuck with it.
Yeah.
A little frustrating. But other than that, I still think it's a very good paddle, and I'm going to choose to use it.
Clearly, if you're thinking about using it, it must be decent.
Exactly.
And it's crazy because I'm trying to think. I think in the entire time we've played pickleball, you've never mained or even considered a Selkirk paddle. And I haven't mained a Selkirk paddle since the 003.
Yeah.
And I really liked the 003, but that was a long time ago.
I've always liked the brand. I like what they're doing, and I like their stuff, but yeah, they've never made a paddle good enough to the point where I felt like I would use it until now.
I also think it's really funny looking at that evolution of some of these Selkirk paddles, because, okay, what did they do for like last couple years? Edgeless, hole, low twist weight. Then they just went like the full opposite direction. No hole. We're going to put so much weight on the edge of the paddle, you're never going to complain about twist weight again.
Sounds like another company. You know who else did that?
Gearbox. Yeah.
It's like, I'm so glad that this does not have a throat hole. Like or
edgeless.
Yeah, or edgeless. Like we can kiss that goodbye. That trend is dead.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm just saying they made it work.
So good.
Yeah.
So good without it. I think, oh man, this is in my top 5 paddles. Probably top 2 right now. Yeah.
What would be your, like, what is your, well, actually one of them is, we can't talk about
not allowed to talk about it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, you are between those.
This is 1/2, and then the other one I'm not allowed to talk about yet, but there's 2 paddles in the running.
Sure.
And yeah, it's really, really good. I like this paddle a lot. Now, I will say, a big warning, because I've seen some questions or people talk about it. The grit on the paddle.
Thanks for bringing that up.
If you are going to clean it, please, please, please do not, I repeat, not use a paddle eraser on it. Yes, it is spray grit. It is their Infinigrit, but it is not designed to be used with raw carbon fiber erasers that will ruin and damage the face. The way Selkirk recommends you clean it is with a damp towel or sponge with a little bit of water, maybe a little bit of detergent or soap, and just wipe it down. And that'll clean it. Don't need to use an eraser because that will ruin it. Now, that does not mean that the paddle's bad or the grit's bad. We're still learning and figuring out how long Infinigrit actually lasts. Obviously, they claim it lasts longer than raw carbon fiber. I've used one unit for a while and seems to be holding up okay, but I still don't think we have enough time on it yet to actually have definitive data.
Yeah, and I think now that you're like really interested in the paddle, I think I'm gonna have you like log all your hours, and then like run some weekly or bi-weekly spin tests and just kind of like track it, and maybe do something with like a raw carbon fiber paddle that I might be using, just to kind of, so we can kind of contrast and compare and see the differences. But yeah, they do recommend that you either use like just a damp cloth or like some mild soap or a detergent and just like wipe it down. They did actually, when we were there for the like media thing, when they were showing us the tests for Infinigrit versus raw carbon fiber, one of the things that I thought was interesting, and who knows, could be total marketing speak, but the people seemed nice enough that it would be odd to just lie directly to like 8 people's faces. But they were saying that even people who have said they've like smoothed it out and it was bad, they've had them send it back and checked it under their, I believe it's called a profilometer, and that's their like 3D scan of the peaks, and they're like, it is exactly where it should be, but a lot of times what happens is like debris is filling the peaks and valleys, and that needs to be cleaned out with the like soap and water. Whether that's exactly what it is or not, I've heard plenty of people say through the grapevine, like, yeah, I've definitely smoothed out some of my Infinigrit. Maybe it just needed to be cleaned and it would have been fine. Maybe it wouldn't. We'll let you know. We're going to find out now that it's not a 007 that no one wants to hit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Helps a lot when it's a paddle that doesn't suck.
All I need to know is it spins the ball really well when I play with it. And I really like that. So
yeah,
it was quickly become one of my favorite paddles. And I'm excited about that.
Hopefully this means Selkirk's on the up and up. Hopefully this is not like the 002 where they hit a one-hit wonder for 3 years and then disappear into the ether.
After they cut all their pros, now they have something that pros are going to want to play with. Could you?
I know, right?
Could you imagine Fed signing with Selkirk?
But see, here's the thing. I think that things like the GX2 power, the Boomstik, and the Pro 4, while yes, I do think the Pro 4 has more power, the Boomstik has more power than a Pro 4, I think if you're talking like those guys, I don't think it's so much better that they would like climb the rankings better. I think it's like now Selkirk has caught up and maybe made it a little better.
I don't think it's like so much better where it's like, oh yeah, this guy has this paddle, so he's going to have good results.
Mm-hmm.
But at that level, 1% matters. 1 extra point that you win matters a lot, right? So
I just think for between like a Pro 4 and a Boomstik, I think it's like more preference than it is like, if you were talking like power air to Boomstik, yeah, gigantic
Here's the thing. I understand that your small-minded 3.5 brain, it's hard for you to comprehend this level, right? I get that. But I'm trying to break it down for you.
Tell you what, maybe if we see Fed, we can give him a Boomstik and see if he think he'd be that much better with a Boomstik.
Speaking of Fed, how do you think he feels about losing to an Adidas paddle?
Dude, I didn't even think about this. So obviously we'll talk about this quick. The best thing that could have ever happened to Adidas. This is like next level marketing for Adidas. They lose Fed, who like couldn't win with an Adidas paddle, wouldn't use the Adidas paddle. And then Jaume starts using a different Adidas paddle, not the metal bone. Presumably it's some type of like Gen 3 Adidas paddle.
What it sounds like.
And then beats Fed with it, with Matt Wright. Of all people.
Incredible. Incredible.
You can't make this stuff up.
The storyline of all this is so funny. Leaves Yola, goes to Adidas, doesn't like anything, leaves Adidas, goes back to Yola. They have a whole marketing thing about it that's great for them. And then boom, loses.
Dude, if I was Adidas, I'd be printing ads with that. Like maybe not ads, but social media posts at a minimum.
I'd be posting that everywhere if I was them.
I'm sure they're obviously trying to be respectful like as a bigger business, but dude, I saw the memes of pickleball and I just went, dude.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So funny. Yeah, that was crazy. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, the last PPA, just some wild things happened in the draw.
Yeah, Jaume and Matt Wright, I think in 2 games, beat Fed and Hayden.
Nuts.
Yeah.
And then they made it to the finals. They got whomped in the finals, but
Adidas and Onyx wipes out Yola and Franklin.
The Onyx part is crazy. There's only one other person using Onyx, right? It's Matt Wright and
is it Lucy still?
I think it's Lucy. I think it's
Lucy.
In a minute. I think it's still Lucy.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I don't know for sure.
That's the only other one that I know that.
I think they're the only 2 people using Onyx paddles. The fact that Matt Wright's still using it is crazy.
I mean, he's probably at the point where if they're just giving him a good contract, he's like, I don't care. I occasionally win some stuff or make a deep run.
I mean, at 48.
Yeah.
Take what you can get.
It's still crazy. I think it was Memes at Pickleball also pointed this out, but one of the memes was something along the lines of like 20-year-olds, physios, best paddles in the game, like great nutrition, trainer, all these things. And then it was like Matt Wright shows up with an Onyx paddle and still beats everyone.
Matt Wright is the equivalent of, not quite because I don't think he like drinks and parties and goes crazy, honestly, Ryan Sherry's a better fit. But he's like, if you know golf at all, John Daly of Pickleball.
Yeah, I don't know that.
Oh, you don't know?
Yeah.
Oh man, there's a whole. That dude was crazy. He basically really good golfer. Dude would smoke, drink, party, would never practice, and he was just
roll up and be good.
Exactly. Yeah, it was insane. He was crazy. So that's Matt Wright. I'll just wake up, not do anything, and win.
That's amazing.
So yeah, crazy PPA this weekend.
All right, so moving on, I want to talk about our review process. So I saw this video pop up on YouTube from a smaller channel called Mid-Century Pickleball, and the title is what caught my eye. I was literally getting ready to mow the lawn, and I was like, you know what, let's just pull up YouTube and like see what I want to listen to while I mow the lawn. And I see this title that's something, it was The Secret Truth About Pickleball Paddle Reviews on YouTube, and I was like, tell me more. I was like, what secret truth do I not know?
What do I not know about myself?
Yeah, I was like, tell me, please tell me. So anyways, it was kind of like a podcast format. Either it's a clip from a podcast or maybe it was just its own video, but it was kind of in like a podcast setting. So anyways, shout out to those guys, because I think this is a good topic to talk about, and it's something I've had a very specific way I've always wanted reviews on this channel to work, and it made me realize that, oh, you know this internally, but other people don't know this. So we're just going to talk about like our whole process. How do we decide what to review? How long does it take to review a paddle? How long are we spending with a paddle? And the different formats on the channel, because I think that is important to understand, and it's something that I've never clarified. So
why we don't talk about some paddles early?
Yeah. Yep. Totally. So let's get into this. First of all, if it was my only job if all my whole job was hit paddles, talk about paddles, and I did nothing else, it would be cake. I could probably cover a lot more paddles, but this job is a lot more things than hit paddle, talk about paddle.
Yeah, we had a crew of 5 videographers, 6 editors, and a whole team. And all you did was walk out there, hit, go back inside.
And talk.
And then, yeah, we'd be getting 6 paddles out a day.
Yeah, it'd be, well, maybe not that, but we'd definitely cover a lot more. So the first thing I want to go over is that I think when it comes to reviewing paddles, this is the classic like triangle. Pick 2 out of the 3. You can never have all 3 at the same time, or at least currently, I don't think anyone can have all 3. And those 3 things, the first one is quality. Quality would be things like the presentation of the video, properly scripting the video so that it makes sense and flows and isn't just a like incoherent mess and people are like, dude, I don't know what you're saying. The literal quality of the video, the sound of the video, entertainment value, like just the
editing.
Video as a whole. Yeah, does it look good? You know, all of that. So quality of the video is the first like pillar. The second one is quantity. You can make, that's how many videos are you going to make? Are you going to make 7 videos a week? Are you going to make 1 video a week? How many reviews can you crank out? So that's the second piece is quantity. And then the third one is in-depth testing. How thoroughly do you test the paddle? Is it 1 hour, 2 hours, 10 hours, 20, 30 plus? Is it months? You can only pick 2 of those, in my opinion. You want quantity and quality. That means you are probably not testing the paddle thoroughly. You want in-depth testing and quality, which is the 2, for anyone listening, that's the 2 we aim for. Then that means your quantity is going to be a lot lower. And like you can rearrange these however you want, but I don't think with anyone you can achieve all 3 right now unless you have way more of a team than what anyone currently has in pickleball.
Totally agree.
So that's my thoughts on that. You can only pick 2 of those 3, so keep that in mind. And then my question, I would love to hear just from the people listening to this podcast. How long in your mind is an appropriate time for someone to spend with a paddle? Like if you're watching a reviewer, how much time in your mind would you like them to spend with it? Is it less than 10 hours? Is it 10 to 20? Is it 20 to 30? Is it 30 plus? Let me know in a comment below, like what your expectation is. Because I think one of the things that has been a struggle, and we'll get into this more, is like, people always ask us like, why don't you cover this? Why don't you cover that? Like, why are you late to this? Like there have been a lot of reviews where we've been late, either by days or sometimes even weeks. And it's like, okay, again, you can only have certain things. If you want it tested a certain amount, then that means they're going to be behind and you can't just pump out videos about them because it probably means it's less.
Well, and sometimes they're unplanned things where we're hitting it and maybe we're working on a video, scripting it out, everything's looking good, and then something weird happens to the paddle. And I'm like, wait a second. And that was weird.
Yes.
Now we need to get another one, confirm that wasn't just a single issue with that unit. Who knows? All kinds of variables can happen when we were just about to finish a video and now we need to spend another week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yep. Agreed.
Happens all the time.
Yep. That definitely happens. And I also think something people should keep in mind is like, there is only so much time someone can actually be on a court in a week. And this kind of goes back to those like 3 pillars is like, if you're going to be on the court a lot, that means you probably can't edit a lot, or maybe it means you're not scripting as much. So it's like your people's bodies can only handle so much. Like I've been doing this for 4 years now, and I promise you, it's not possible for me to do like 2 3-hour sessions every time I go out. Now, certain times I crank it up more when we need to, and maybe I crank it down less when we don't need it as much. But
when you have to choose, do you want to strain your physical or your mental? Like, do you want to be writing all day and researching and sitting in front of a screen, straining your mental side? Or do you want to be on court all day testing paddles, which, I mean, the back issues can only take so much.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely been a complication. And now that we're on the upside, that has helped a lot. But yeah, it's I think people probably underestimate how much time you can realistically actually be on a court. Even with the court in my backyard, there is only so much time in a day I can actually be on that court and be useful on the court, you know? So, okay, next up, how do we choose what paddles to cover? And how do you decide if it's going to be a review or a first impression? Reviews or first impressions are kind of a new thing, and we'll get to that in a minute. So in July, if I'm recalling correctly, we had something like 30 plus paddles come through the door.
Insane.
You can't cover all 30 of those properly. You can cover them in different amounts. You could do first looks. You could do a brief talk on the podcast. You could do a full review. Like, you have to pick and choose. And again, this kind of comes back to like 3 pillars that I think about and have been a thing on the channel for a long time. Probably since within the first year of starting is, what am I personally interested in? That is one of them. So a perfect example of this is 11/6/24. Before anybody knew who they were, they sent me one. I was not interested. I was like, whatever, I don't really care. But then one day I was like, I took a stack of paddles to go test, and I was like, I'll hit this one. I was like, ooh, like I actually kind of really like this paddle. I was like, I want to spend some more time with this. I was like, this is better than I thought. So I took it to Hawaii. I won singles gold and doubles gold, and I was like, this paddle's awesome. I was like, nobody's asking me for this. Nobody knows about this, but I'm going to talk about this because I think the paddle's awesome. So that is rule number 1, or pillar number 1. Second one is, what is the audience interested in? What are you guys commenting? What is Discord wanting to hear about? What are people messaging me on Instagram? What is like Facebook? Just all over. What is being talked about?
There's the obvious big releases.
Yeah.
Boomstik.
Yola, Boomstik. Like, do people care about them? Like, not every Selkirk paddle has been like one everyone's interested in. For example, the Halos last year, like no one was asking me about those. So I just didn't cover them. Like, there are times where a big brand releases a paddle and it's like, whatever, no one cares. And then there are times where a small paddle comes out and everyone's interested in it. So audience interest is a big one. And then the last one is, what is something interesting or unique that people might not know? And that could be performance, it could be price, it could be build quality, it could be a new concept that no one's ever done, or it could even be that the paddle is bad for how expensive it is. The original Metalbone, perfect example of this.
Either exceptionally good and interesting to talk about, or the other side of the coin where it's exceptionally bad and will tell you don't waste your money.
Like, okay, and I'm genuinely here not trying to rag on Adidas. This is just the perfect example of it, right? But like, the story with the original Metalbone is like so fascinating because you're like, okay, it's interesting because it is this bolt system. No one's done that before. No one's asking me about an Adidas paddle at that point because they were kind of just a meme. But it was expensive. It didn't perform well. And then it's like, okay, why does a company this large, why are they not capable of making a paddle that's better than like some of these tiny brands? Like, that is like an interesting story and something that people would probably find interesting. So it's like, okay, we're going to spend some time on it. But for a paddle to get content in any capacity, it's got to have one of those 3.
Yep.
If it doesn't have any of those 3, then it's like, okay, if I'm not interested in it, my audience isn't interested in it, and it doesn't really have anything that's that appealing about it in some way or another,
why spend time on it?
Yeah, like no one cares. I'll spend time on something that's bad if people are interested in it. Mm-hmm. But if no one's interested in it, I'm not like, okay, forget it. Like, no one wants to hear. A perfect example of this: an Amazon $30 paddle that's just like cheap graphics, like no one cares, right? That is a perfect example of meets no criteria.
Yeah.
So that is kind of how something gets decided. And then from there, now we have to decide what type of content is it going to get. And the first impressions format is a very new thing to the channel and something that I was, for me personally, against for a long time. And it's because like the way since day one that I've always done this channel is it's going to be in depth. This paddle was play tested a lot, and I'm going to give you as much information as possible. And a first impressions or first look has always felt like very counterintuitive to how I've done this channel, to how it has become what it is. So I've always been like, I think people aren't going to like that. But what has started to happen, I would say in the last year and a half, maybe even 2 years, is people are like, why don't you cover this? And it's like, I don't have the time to get to that. And so I finally like surveyed my newsletter and I was like, okay, guys, there are paddles that I'm probably interested in covering to some amount, you're interested in. Would you rather me do a less in-depth review and at least give you some information rather than nothing? And the overarching theme was, yes, please do that. And then when I gave people a first impressions and said, hey, give me your feedback on this, it was basically like, in some ways, we actually like this more than the review because sometimes we don't need all that info, which was kind of a weird wake-up call for me because I was like, I feel like what makes this channel what it is that
it's in-depth and detailed.
In-depth, and there's like nothing you're not going to know about the paddle. So I was like, that's kind of weird for me.
Yeah.
But and even today, we are doing that as a format, but we could do more. The first impressions don't take that long to make, but I'm still like trying to get over this thought of like people being like, oh, like Pickleball Studio is not what they used to be. Like they're not covering things in depth, even though we can still do the full reviews and the first impressions at the same time because the first impressions take so much less time. Mm-hmm. A first impression is less than 5 hours of playtime on average. Like, so it's literally, as it sounds, the first impression. Yep. And so it's very easy for us to shoot and even edit that the same day and then go right back to doing the full paddle review. Yep. So I don't know.
And it's like paddles. You can't please everyone. Not everyone wants a power paddle. Not everyone wants a control paddle. Like some people are going to be like, oh man, I miss all the in-depth detail, blah, blah, blah. And some people are like, dude, way too much for me. Don't need that. Like kill those off. Like you only see what you want to see, right? Or what you want. Yeah. We can't give something to everyone.
Yeah.
So it's difficult.
Yeah, totally.
And we're just going to we have to listen to the majority of the audience. If the majority of people want first looks, we'll start making more of those. Majority of people want more in-depth videos, we'll do that. But there's going to be people who are like, oh, it's not what it used to be. Or it's not, what I want.
Totally. And I'd love to hear from you guys again if you want to either edit your comment or even leave another comment. Both are fine. But if you guys have watched the first impressions format, I'd love to know what you guys don't like. Is there something you would change about them that you want removed or that you want added? Or like, what is your general like view of it? Because again, like I said, we could do way more. There are paddles that I'd love to cover right now, but I just sit there and I like struggle so much with, I don't want to just give people these like, what to me feels like a shallow take. Mm-hmm. I think we can assess paddles very quickly. And I think there are some paddles that genuinely don't need a lot of time.
Yeah.
Like I would say there's a number of paddles that within 5 hours, I could probably do a full review if I really wanted to. Would I know durability? No, I wouldn't. But like how the paddle plays, I could probably get a very good picture. Mm-hmm. But I still struggle with like, I don't know. It's just, again, it's opposite of what I've always done. Yeah. So it feels wrong. But yeah, let me know. I would love to hear what you guys think. Do you enjoy them less than a full review? Do you like them more than a full review? Let me know. Then the next one, this is the review. This is what you guys have seen on the channel for years. This is where it's very in-depth testing. It's very thorough. It's literally as in-depth as you're going to get without us using a paddle for 3 to 6 months, which sometimes I've done follow-up reviews, but on paddles I've mained, if I've used it for a long time, the Gearbox Pro Power Elongated, DBD, Carbon Genesis True Foam, like some paddles like that.
Yeah.
But for reviews, on average, I'm spending 2 to 3 weeks with a paddle. I actually just went through our channel and did the math. I was like, how many paddles have we reviewed this year? Full reviews, we have done 10. And there have been 31 weeks this year. So we have, on average, put out a review every 3 weeks. So 2 to 3 weeks is what I spend with a paddle. And in that testing time, that could be on the lowest end for a review. I would say it's 20 hours. On the high end, it's 40 plus.
Yeah.
The GX2 is probably pretty close to 40 hours, if I had to guess. Like, I've put a lot of time on that one, probably more than I needed. Same thing with the Honolulu J2NF. That is probably more than 40 hours at this point. So how I differentiate is like first impressions, less than 5 hours. A full review, probably averaging about 30 hours within a 2 to 3 week time span. Could be more, maybe a little less, depending on like different things.
I think after 25 to 30 hours, paddles start to show their true colors. They either stop breaking in, changing, things break. You know, obviously you can get more durable, less durable units.
Yeah.
That obviously varies. But like after 25 to 30 hours, you start to figure out exactly what's going to happen with a paddle.
Yeah, I agree. It's especially, I think if you're a heavier hitter, like you're going to, you know, find some issues or non-issues probably a little quicker than I am just because you hit the ball harder. But I agree. I think after that point, the vast majority of time, you're going to know the paddle pretty darn well inside and out, and there's not going to be much you don't know. And I do think there is always a great place for updated long-term reviews, like have we seen issues, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, no, I think it's segmenting into different contents. And then let me see here. Actually, here's a great example of one. We were talking about this earlier. But so let's go through this. When we get a paddle, first thing we do, get the metrics on the paddle. Like you put it through the swing weight, twist weight, static weight, all of that. Then I'll usually run RPM tests on it. That takes some time depending on how many paddles we got.
We've cleaned that up a little bit now. Used to be much more of a process.
Yeah, that's a little easier now. I can do that like on my own, which is great. And then after that, I play the paddle stock for multiple sessions. That could be the first full week. That could be the first like 5 sessions. Stock, nothing to it, no weight, because I need to know, how does this play stock? Does it need weight to bring out its full performance? There are going to be people who don't add weight, so we have to cover that in the review. Then after that, I go, okay, do I think this paddle needs weight? If yes, add weight. Now, how many locations am I going to test? And then how long am I going to test each of those? So like that extends the testing process. And then that also shows like, usually is the paddle breaking in? How different does it play? And then you're writing more thoughts. Like as you've weighted it up, after you've weighted it up, you need to rerun the metrics on the paddle because that's useful information. Like how did swing weight and twist weight change for people? And then here's the big one, like you mentioned earlier, that throws a big wrench in things. Did the paddle break in or did it not break in after a certain point?
Or just break completely.
Or break completely. If the paddle had a break-in period, that often means we have to spend even more time with it than what we would. Because it's like, okay, is it going to keep doing this? Is it going to stop? And that's kind of why the GX2 has so much time on it. Like our review should be out this week, but it had a break-in period. And it's like, did it level off? Mine did level off. It might keep going like 3 months, who knows? But so far mine has remained stable. But that involved more testing time to find out. I would not feel comfortable putting out a review and being like, yep, had a break-in period. Figure it out, guys. I don't know if it stops or not. And I'll always say, like, if I don't know, I'll let you guys know, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not going to ever make it up.
Right.
Like, I'm going to say it if I feel confident.
And then also, was it just that unit? We don't know. Like, you got to test multiple ones to know for sure, because we don't want to, like, bash on somebody just because
I got a dud.
Exactly, yeah. Which, the perfect example is the Honolulu paddles.
Yeah.
We had multiples of those that came in that ended up
this was the long handle.
The long handle NF.
Yeah.
That ended up feeling kind of like duds or performing different based on our metrics and numbers compared to other people's and them saying, oh, ours are fine. We got multiples that were duds.
Yep.
And that throws a wrench in the plan.
And it ended up being quite different. And like, for anyone listening, this has kind of been sorted out at this point. I gave Honolulu all this feedback. They found some stuff in their manufacturing process. Now they're adjusting it. To my understanding, anyone who should be receiving a long handle paddle should not be having one with a problem, but we'll see. We don't know until they come back, right? Until they're out in the wild. But for an update on like what some of the issue was, still don't know exactly what's causing the issue. To me, they might know internally and I just don't know. I have guesses. But the difference was like my original NF, very poppy, very powerful, plays awesome. The long handle NF that was a dud, it like wasn't nearly as poppy. The sound was different. It wasn't nearly as powerful. Like if that was what all NFs were, I would not have given that a very positive review. I would have been like, yeah, this is fine, but it's not exceptional.
And it wasn't just you. You tested me with 2 different paddles, didn't tell me which was which, and I was able to tell which one was the quote unquote dud.
And which was normal.
And which was normal.
Yep. And so after that, Honolulu had to mail me new paddles for me to test. And then one was a dud and one was not. And then when I did even more testing, like play testing, and then I ran serve tests, and the non-duds were averaging like 56 miles an hour and the duds were like 50.
That's a big
That's a
difference.
huge gap. Like
3
that's like,
miles an hour is a big difference.
That's like control paddle versus like power paddle.
Yeah.
It's like very different in that range. And so these are the types of things that like throw a wrench in testing. It's like, okay, well, I can't put a video out until I really know what is happening. Like I know people have already made J2NF long handle videos, and it's like, well, I don't feel like I can make that video until I know if this is a consistent problem or not.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a great example of like sometimes things get thrown off with the GX2 Power. Once I started being like, I think this is breaking in, I messaged Gearbox and said, hey, can you guys send me a brand new hybrid, because I need to be able to compare it to this. So then I started playing that one side by side and be like, oh yeah, there's a difference between these for sure. And so that, again, it just adds more time to the testing process, because I don't want to guess or make things up. And a paddle that everyone's been asking about, like, why haven't you covered this one? The 11.624 Alpha Pro Powers. It's because, so I'm at, let's see, one part of this, couple things. One is there's been paddles people want to know about more. I actually really haven't had many requests to cover those, but I do think they're pretty good. But that paddle, everyone says up and down that there's a break-in period, not that it gets hotter, but just that the feel changes, which is like relatively normal with paddles, I'd say. But I'm at 15 hours on my Vapor Alpha Pro Power, and it's like the opposite of what everyone has said about this paddle. They're like, it gets softer and it's like, it's not stiff. And to me, after I was playing with mine, I was like, it's almost stiffer, or it's like definitely not how I would define the word soft.
Yeah.
So then I asked for a second unit, and that played exactly how my one with 15 at the time, that one, it was about 12 hours of use. Now it's got about 3 extra hours. But at the time, it should have been past what this break-in phase was. And I'm like, these feel the same. So now the question in my mind goes, has this break-in thing become something that people are regurgitating? Is it actually happening? Now I need to compare more units and spend more time with it.
I wonder how much of that happens. People read up on a paddle they have. They want to see other people's opinion. One person says something like, oh, maybe that's what I'm feeling too, when they're actually not. Like that, I mean, that happens in different industries all the time.
Yeah.
Where things get misled and people's opinions change just because they read someone else's.
Well, what's interesting to me, and I'll actually have a great way to test this, is my men's partner that I play tournaments with. He's actually been using an Alpha Pro Power for, man, I don't know, over a month now. And like every time we drill, every time we play a tournament, like he's got hours on it. If there's going to be one that's broken in, like he's got to have 40, 50 plus hours on this thing. So I'm going to take his and be like, just test it and then compare it with some of my newer units and be like, okay, undisputedly, you can't tell me this one's not broken in. But again, this all goes back to like, this is why it's taking so long. Like we want to be sure because like we could put something out and maybe be less confident, but I think putting bad information out is like not very helpful.
More harmful than anything. And then we'd have to spend time making another video to clarify issues.
Yeah.
And we just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
It's better to just wait than have to make multiple videos about something and be like, hey, we were wrong.
And now I do think there are times where this can bite you, right? So let's say there is a paddle that you think it might have some issues, but it never ends up having issues, but you put a lot more time on it. You could have made like a first impressions or like a quick style video and everything could have been accurate. But to me, it's the uncertainty of not knowing. If I'm going to say it, I always want to be 100% confident in what I'm saying, or a very, very high degree of certainty.
Yeah.
That it's that. And if I don't know, I'll say like, yeah, we don't know. Like the Boomstik, we had an edge guard come loose and it's like, okay, well, Selkirk said this is not going to be a long-term issue. I don't know.
We don't know yet.
So I'll just say that in the video, like, yeah, guys, I don't know. We'll find out. If our other ones break, we'll let you know.
Yep.
But yeah, that's, I feel like the Alpha Pro Power is a perfect example of like, yeah, we're pretty far behind. Like that paddle was first sent to us around like, I think sometime in June. It kind of released in July and now we're in August.
And then on top of it, there are like the timing of things matter, right? Like things in this industry move so fast that it's hard. It's not only just hard to keep up with, but things just get phased out quickly. The Power series was great, was very popular. The Alpha Pro Power comes out, but at the same time, we've got this whole wave of full foam cores that everyone wants to hear about.
Yep.
So obviously we're going to be putting time on that, and something has to get put on the back burner.
Yeah.
Right? We just don't have time to test everything and get information on everything. And at the moment, these full foam cores are more interesting to people, and that's what we're going to focus on.
Totally.
And then at that point, once we're past that, the industry has moved on and people don't really, not everyone, there are going to be people who still do care and want to hear about it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are just like, well, it's not relevant information anymore. They don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
So that's why we don't always go back to things, because it just moves too fast.
And like I said, we could choose to do it differently. We could choose quality and quantity and just pump out a bunch of videos. But now it's like, we might be putting like less than great information out. So
Exactly.
It's what pillar do you want? And to be clear, I'm sure every reviewer, like the ones they pick is going to shift. Like which two do they focus on is going to be different for everyone. And I don't think that one is inherently wrong with another, because I think there is a ton of value in early impressions. I think if people have the option of give me some info or no info, they're always going to take info.
Yeah.
Even if it's not 100%, they just want to know, like, you know what? Tell me generally, did it wow you? Did it not wow you? Mm-hmm. And that's like that good enough.
Because at this point, our core audience kind of knows the tendencies of both of us. And sometimes they just want to know, do we like it or don't like it?
Yeah.
And that's not in-depth information, but it's enough for some people.
Yeah.
Right.
So I want to be clear that I don't think it's like wrong or right when people choose one. It's just like, what does that person want to focus on? To me, like as a consumer in a lot of other industries and like the reviewers I watch, like I like the people that go really in depth. That's why like my reviews are long and like not everyone loves that, but is what it is. So anyways, that's like break in. Did the paddle physically break? That adds more time. And then on top of like that, you have to, these days, paddle reviews I think are best when you put them in context of other paddles. Boomstik in context of other power paddles is important, right? Like a paddle could be great in isolation and maybe even pretty decent at the price, but then you put it against something else and you're like, oh, the story changes a lot. So not only do we have to test just that paddle, but now we have to compare it. If I take a Boomstik, it's like, okay, I have to put this against a GX2 Power. I probably have to put this against a Flick. I got to put this against a Pro 4 and a J2 NF, even though they're kind of different categories. Like, but people want to know. And so that adds more time. If you want the comparisons and kind of like, here's how they stack up, adds more time. So comparisons. And then, of course, podcast is kind of its own format, like what we're doing right now. The way that I view podcasts is it can kind of be any of the three we just did. It could be a first impressions. It could be live updates, kind of like when we gave an update on the long handle NF having issues. It could be a full review. So to me, the podcast is like, if you were going to rank information, I'd probably put it at the lowest because it's kind of like, could be more live. And then like my order would probably go like podcast, first impressions, or those could be kind of equal, review, and like comparison, or comparison and then review, something along those lines.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I view them, is like, yeah, we give, sometimes people just want to know, like, just tell us something quick. It's like, okay, here's a quick update.
Well, it's also nice just to have like sit down kind of unscripted and just talk about what's going on, how we feel about things, just giving kind of a raw opinion and impression on stuff.
For sure.
It's just an outlet.
Yep. And so then on top of that, so okay, now we've just talked about like, here are the formats. Here's how we kind of decide. We haven't even talked about producing the content yet.
That's a whole nother beast.
Yeah. So let's say intros. We'll go through that quick. We don't do this for every paddle because I don't think it makes sense. Sometimes some paddles are more or less interesting. For example, the Boomstik, to me, I was like, okay, I'm going to make a review on this. Could we make an intro? There's a kind of a cool story here. Boomstik is a great paddle. Selkirk's been absent for a lot of years. The graphics of this paddle are great. It has the MOI tuning. That's kind of interesting. We could do some cool concepts in the intro. Some paddles just lend themselves better to a cool intro. For example, like if I'm taking a Boomstik or like a J2NF and I have to make an intro, the J2NF does not look visually that interesting.
Yeah.
Could we make one? Yes.
I'm sure we could.
But it's going to be harder and maybe not as worth it.
Look, all I'm going to say is Boomstik, more graphics, more, like you said, I'm not going to repeat everything you said. More interesting paddle, more to film. Then you give me like a Vatic.
Yeah, there's nothing on it. Yeah.
There's only so much. I'm talented, but there's only so much I can do, guys. Okay, I don't work miracles.
Yeah, it's tough for some paddles to film B-roll. So, but like intros can take a lot of time. Like the Boomstik was about 4 hours of pre-planning. It was about 5 hours of shooting. You doing half of that shooting, and then me doing the other half for some like green screen stuff. And then editing was like 7 hours.
Yeah.
And when the day that I did the Boomstik, I had to record my A-roll Sunday evening, 9 p.m., and then I stayed up until 2 a.m. editing the video, woke up early, and started editing it to get it done by 11 a.m.
Yeah.
So like it's
And then there's just small iterations, like just, again, the intro. Think it's good. This is great. Oh, but then we throw a little bit thing here, then another small ad, and then another small ad. And it's just back
I literally
and forth.
texted you at 2 a.m. and was like, do you think it's better with this or this?
Yeah, exactly.
Like small back and forth.
The things that we were talking about improved it, but I almost guarantee that so few people noticed what we added. It would have been fine without it.
Yeah.
But it's just better with it.
And to me, it's also, not only is it's like, what do people want? I think that's important. But I think with content, something that people who don't produce content may not understand is like, at the end of the day, you need to produce something that you are happy with too and that you just like.
Yeah.
To me, that intro was more for me than anybody else. I knew people would probably think it was cool, but I was like, this is fun for me and I'm having a fun time making this. And that's what keeps the job entertaining.
If you posted something that you knew you could have made better or left a little bit left on the table, it'll eat at you. Knowing it's on the internet forever and just knowing that like, oh, I could have done better.
Yep.
Is frustrating.
For sure. All right, now shooting. This is like more your realm these days. So for people curious, like Aizec handles more of filming things. I don't touch the camera except for like occasional things where I really know I want something, or if it's the weekend, I don't make Aizec work over the weekend. I usually do that. So you handle a lot of the B-roll.
Yeah, basically paddle comes in, like you said, he gives it to me, get the metrics, all the numbers and stuff, and then start shooting B-roll. I come down here into the studio. I have to come up with ideas. Some, again, like I just said a minute ago, some paddles are easier than others. Some paddles are very plain, like I'm thinking recently Vatic or the Surtur.
The Surtur, doesn't have much going on. I shot
some B-roll of that, and I'm like, dude, I am like sitting here for 30 minutes trying to think of any interesting thing to shoot with this. And it can be very difficult. Some paddles lend themselves much easier. I'm thinking a lot of Ruby, Selkirk paddles, the Franklins. There's just a lot more interesting things to show. And that's all B-roll is. Let me show you the paddle in what we do, our style. Cool, cinematic, interesting ways.
Set design.
Exactly. A lot of set design. So it's like these things, some paddles are easier, some paddles are more difficult. And so like down here, setting up lights, that takes a long time. Like studio B-roll, I could spend 3 hours on one paddle and
easily
at least, and maybe not even have all of what we need.
Yep.
Then I go outside, get B-roll on court, whether that's just the paddle, different areas on the court, different sunlight, slow motion shots of you hitting. That takes both of us now. So B-roll can take a lot of time in of itself. I was actually watching a video recently talking about shooting B-roll for product commercials. And a really interesting thing, the guy was saying that for his style of commercial shooting for product B-roll, it'll take 2.5 days of just shooting.
Yeah.
That's just getting footage. And it's usually around, now obviously it's more high quality and production quality than what we're doing. Not saying that we're not doing a lot, but it was like 10 shots.
Yeah.
To get 10 shots, 2.5 days to get 10 different shots.
Yeah.
That's a lot, right? So like, I don't think a lot of people understand how much time goes into just filming the paddles alone. And then that hasn't even begun into the editing process of that footage.
Well, and even before editing, like the next thing in that list is, and a lot of these things can go, just so people understand, it's not like hit the paddle, then shoot the B-roll, then script, then edit. It's like there are a lot of these going in parallel. A lot of times we're like wrapping up a review and edit, and we've already started hitting the next paddle and filming. Like there's a lot of things going in parallel here. It's not like step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like sometimes you can overlap some of these steps, just to be clear.
Well, and just like testing paddles, that just popped into my mind. Things happen, don't go well, or just whatever. Same thing happens when filming paddles. Sometimes it doesn't stand up, and that really bothers me. And that makes my job a lot more difficult because trying to get a lot of standing static shots, or it's spinning and all this stuff. So I have to come up with different ways to get it to stand and finagle it and do a bunch of annoying stuff.
For like, what I want people to understand is, first of all, none of this is like complaints. I probably should have prefaced that.
Not at all.
It may sound like some of these are complaints. None of this is a complaint. We are choosing, this is how we want to do it because it's like the standard of quality that we want, and we want to give you guys as a viewer to have a good experience. Like for these paddles standing up, sometimes like what Aizec's talking about is the paddle will be a little crooked, or it may just not stand up at all. Now, if you're going to put it on like a rotating table, it'll just kind of look like Bush League. If it's slightly tilted and it's like
wobbling,
it just looks like oh, wow, this is like amateur. We don't want that. Like, we want the whole experience to feel good. So, like, none of it is like, oh, man, I wish we didn't have to do this. It's like, we're choosing. We can choose not to.
Well, I'm doing it this way because we both enjoy it.
Yeah.
I really enjoy getting to film stuff in, high quality settings in the studio with these cameras. Like, it's a hobby as much as it is a job.
Yeah.
I enjoy what I'm doing. And so might sound like I'm complaining a little bit. I definitely complain about the butt caps because
it's just annoying.
An annoying thing, if I could choose to that never happen again, I'd snap my fingers and I'd love that to happen, but it's not gonna.
Yeah.
So I do just enjoy coming down here and filming, and I get to be creative. I get to be fun. I get to show off skills. Like, you guys enjoy it. I get to that's what I enjoy. I like making things that other people get enjoyment out of.
Yeah.
And that's why I do it.
Totally. And then after that is scripting. So a lot of times when I'm hitting paddles, like during testing, I'm jotting down notes like, oh, this is interesting. Maybe that changes if there's a break-in, yada, yada, yada. But for the scripting, it's like, okay, what are the necessary pieces of information for people to understand this paddle? What makes the paddle notable or worth considering over other options? And that's a big thing about the paddle market right now is like, a paddle can be, like I said, good in isolation, but then you stack it up against everything else and you're like, it's way more expensive. It's got a worse warranty and it plays just as good. Like, why would I recommend this? So there's that. How do you verbalize certain attributes for someone to understand if they can't hit the paddle themselves? You got to think about like, is it plush? Is it like have a lot of dwell time? Like all these things that you're like, okay, how can I give someone a complete picture of this, even if they can't hit it themselves? And then, is the script too long? I'm usually on the long side. Boomstik was like 18 minutes. I've had like almost 30-minute reviews. I know they probably should be shorter. But again, what I would so much rather is someone tell me, Chris, you gave me too much information, rather than you get the paddle and then someone goes, Chris, I can't believe you forgot to tell me about this. Like, I don't ever want to hear that. And I'm not saying that can't happen, but my goal is that doesn't happen.
Dude's punching air when he reads those comments.
I spent 40 hours on that script and I still missed. But yeah, so are they long? Like how else can I word this? I spend a lot of time on like how I'm going to word something. How do you phrase it? Like, what is the best way to convey information? I would say writing is probably 1 to 2 full days of the process. And then, as you can probably imagine, if I'm saying scripted, I do use a teleprompter. So if people didn't know that, I read from a teleprompter. And the reason I do this is because if I didn't, my reviews would probably be incoherent, maybe not incoherent, but far less easy to listen to. And it would make editing take longer. And it just, everything would be worse. So I script them so that I can tell you exactly how I feel. Like, actually, I've had people say, like, it was really funny. So back in the day when we did, it was the Rhombus Pulsar. We did like a live style video.
I remember that. That was like the first time we did that.
That was like the first impressions video we ever did.
Yeah.
It was like live. You're hearing me talk about it. You're seeing me
literally
test the paddles.
hitting and then talking on court.
Yeah. And people were like, dude, we love this. Like, I can't believe, like, we want you to like compare paddles all the time and tell us how you're hitting them. But what I think is funny is when we do a full review, I do all of that and more. So people will be like, like, it's nice to see you actually spend time with the paddle. And I'm like, I spend way more time with it off camera than what you see in a review. Like, you might not see me do it, but I put way more time in. So it's just kind of funny. That was another thing that made me realize, like, oh, we're not conveying the information properly. Like, yes, in that first impressions, you saw me do it, but I'm actually doing way more in this other format, and you just didn't know.
Just getting better information. It's just happening at different times.
Yeah. So like in a review, like I've spent so much time comparing, like way more than what I would do in a single session. And I'm way more confident in the information I'm giving too, right? Like sometimes like, oh, this paddle's more plush. And you're like, no, it's not. Then you hit it again, you're like, okay, yeah, this is how I feel. So
and sometimes you can hit paddles and then have one opinion, but then you need like a palate cleanser. You need to hit something else and then compare it and be like, now I really know what I'm feeling.
Yeah, totally. So then after that, it's editing, which is, again, this goes back to you like initially. So you get the first round of the edit.
I get all the raw footage. I gather everything together. He gives me the A-roll. That's usually the first thing I start with. And I cut up the A-roll to have it make sense, get rid of the gaps where you're thinking maybe messed up on the script a little bit, clean it up, get all that taken care of. Then I sort out on another timeline all the B-roll, whether that be paddle B-roll, whether that be gameplay, cut through, find all the gameplay clips, Some of him looking like he's a 5.0, some of him looking like he's a 3.5. Got to keep that in there. You got to be realistic, guys. So get all that together, and then it's putting all the puzzle pieces together. Just base throwing things where it makes sense, B-roll on top of A-roll, and then after that, more graphics and stuff, text on screen, transitions, some audio stuff, cleaning that up, and then color grading. You have to color and adjust the footage, make it look pretty, make it look nice, give my own stylistic touch to it, whatever. That takes a whole nother round of time. And then usually that's when I pass it off back to you so you can add your next 5 or 10% of personal touch.
Yeah. So like after that, I have Aizec pass it back to me because there's just things that like I know how to do and I like, and it kind of feels like that's me putting the Pickleball Studio like flair on the video. But I think the goal is at some point to like move away from that because it is more of a bottleneck. Like I would rather spend more time hitting the paddles than doing that. Like I like it, but I realistically realize for this to keep growing, I should stop doing that. But yeah, currently I finish it off. I'll do some like animated graphics and like other things that just make it feel more like me. And then after that, a lot of times by the time we hit this stage, we're literally exporting and uploading the video immediately. For example, when I did the Boomstik, I already said I was up till 2 a.m. the night before, then up early to finish it. I was clicking publish and the video wasn't even done, finished processing on YouTube. And I'm clicking upload at 11 when it was allowed to be published. So like it is extremely rare, extremely. The only one this ever happens with is a first impression that we can maybe hold it for a couple days. But like a lot of times we're editing and uploading it immediately.
The second it's done, it's posted.
Yeah. And because like it would be nice if we could get ahead. And
having a backlog of content would be great, but we just, you can't keep up. It's so hard to keep up in this industry.
Because of how long we spent testing it, that like means we just can't backlog them. So, okay, then after that, we're uploading. I have to create a title and thumbnail, post to various social platforms that the video's up, create some short form content to follow up with that video, like YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels, just to let those platforms know. So that's another additional video. Like after I made the Boomstik video and published it, I went straight to the basement, recorded an Instagram Reel, edited that video, and then went and posted that as well.
Yeah. And trying to make more stuff like that too. More reels, random things.
Totally.
Funny things that happen.
And then, after that same day, I'll watch and respond to some comments. I would say for the first day, I'll usually read and keep up, and then I'll move on to the next thing and try and respond. But then after that, it's like, okay, can't do this forever because reading and responding to comments can take a lot of time.
Yeah, seriously. Can't spend too long on that. Got to get on to the next project.
Yeah, for sure. So at that point, that's like kind of the whole review process. We've already been talking for a long time and we haven't even gotten to the Q&A yet. So I'm going to just jet through some other things really quick that are lists of tasks that the business needs that are just outside of paddle testing. Because I think, again, there's been this impression, it's like these guys hit some paddles, they go turn on a camera, they talk, they edit a little bit, they post.
And that's all they do.
I wish that's all I did. Like I said, I really wish it was. But on the back end, you've got things like emails. Are brands emailing you about like upcoming embargo information, launches? Do they need information for like address? Are there questions and answers in those emails? Like my email inbox, I was out of it like this whole last week. There's a lot of emails I missed. I was actually pretty bad about that. So I'm behind on emails. Then managing the website, getting written review content. I have someone helping with that right now, but like that's a whole other thing to manage. Accounting, literally just there's the accounting and then actually just managing the business as a whole. How is everything doing? Planning content for the future. What are we going to film and work on next month? Writing newsletters for more updates, quick updates on socials. Hey, here's the long handle NF. Here's what the short one is. Answering questions, Instagram, Discord, YouTube comments. How do we improve the content? What are we doing right now that is less than optimal? How do we make it better for people? How do we make it more entertaining? How do we produce better information? Like those are things you think about and jot down notes. Keeping up with the news. I get a lot of late night phone calls. Like you're trying to get ready for bed and then something for the business is like, whether it's a brand owner or something's happening, piece of news, whatever, a lot of late night phone calls.
That's the thing. When you own your business, I mean, obviously I don't, he does, but the clock never stops.
No.
You're working 24/7. You get a phone call, you got to take it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have to. There are times like, for example, on Mondays, that is our date night. I will not take a phone call on our date night. That is just like, I will send a text back.
To be clear, not
night.
Me and him. Okay. Just for anyone wondering.
Me and the wife.
Yeah. Him and his wife, not me.
So yes, but other days, I am like, we'll work I'll work through the weekends. Like it's not, and again, doing this by choice. I'm not mad about it, but it's a lot.
I mean,
right?
you enjoy it.
Yeah.
You just love what you do and you enjoy working. And if you didn't, you wouldn't be working through the weekend or staying up till 2 a.m. editing small details on an intro.
Right. And then after that, you've got stuff like travel trips, tournaments, paddle events, other random things that we might be traveling for pickleball, like the trip to China. Podcast this morning. Usually we do it on Mondays. We didn't because of the Boomstik this week. But I'll wake up early. I'll jot down all the notes for the podcast. You'll show up at 9. You'll set up the studio. We'll record. I'll give you all the footage. You'll go home. You'll edit. Monday is like just a podcast day.
Yeah.
For at least like part of my day is podcast. Your whole day is podcast.
That's true.
Then I do a couple other things. But largely Monday is like a podcast day.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, that's most everything. So again, not complaining. We choose to do it this way. I just wanted to give people after I saw that video, it was like, oh, like, I don't think people realize like some of the steps that are involved here. And I was like, it would be cool to talk about it, right? It's just things that, I mean, why does a viewer, they're not regularly going to ask for that information. Like, oh, how do you guys make content? They're like, we just want to know how the paddle hits, bro.
Yeah.
We don't care that you made a cool intro.
Right.
So that's why I've never talked about it. But once I saw that video from Mid-Century Pickleball, I was like, oh, like, some good points here. Like I should talk about this. So thanks you guys for talking about that. I think it was just it's a good thing to be aware of, right? And if people want to spend less time with it, produce quick updates, go for it. You want to do something like us where it's longer? I think all of it's valid. I think all of it has a place in pickleball. It's just like you as the viewer, you can then choose like what you want to weight and value more, right? You might value more in-depth stuff. You might be like, I don't care about that. It's too long. Yeah. I'm sure the number one critique John and I probably get is it's too long, guys. Sometimes John and I will text each other and be like, you got me this time. Yours was longer. So anyways, you've made it to the kitchen. If you made it to the kitchen today, you probably hit like 8 drops in a row, a bunch of resets. You made it to the kitchen line. You went back to the baseline, then worked your way back up to the kitchen line.
Hit a tweener.
Yeah, exactly. You've made it to the kitchen. We've got a bunch of questions and answers today.
Yes.
Let's go through them. All right. First up, what's up with Sypik paddles? I don't know. We don't have any.
Couldn't tell you. I thought we had one coming.
I need to just reach out to some people at Sypik. For a while, it was just kind of confusing. It was like they only had paddles in Vietnam, and then they like maybe got some U.S. distributors, but then I wasn't sure if that was like an ambassador or the company. Like I might just need to just buy some myself because I'm very curious to hit the Avatar. Yeah. I want to hit that and the Triton. Like I've had people ask questions. I'd love to hit them. I just don't have one right now. So that's on me. I need to just go and get it. But yeah, I'm very curious about it. They've obviously made a big noise with QD. So we'll see. Once we have info, we'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Then after that, I'd be curious to hear your opinion on this, actually. J2 NF stock or long handle, or the Gearbox GX2 power hybrid. Let's throw the elongated in there just because you'd have an opinion. But I get this question a lot. And what I keep coming back to and telling people is like, I just don't think they are similar tiers of paddles. Like, yes, they're both power paddles, but GX2 is like top power, like Boomstik Pro 4 GX2. And then like J2NF is like what I call like controllable power or low tier power. So it's like, do you want all gas and no brakes, or do you want some brakes?
Sure.
So like, I'm like, I think if you're looking at these, you got to figure out which category you want to be in first.
Yeah.
But like, what do you think? Like, if you're picking between those, what would you play with?
I'd have to hit them more side by side, and I haven't really spent any time with the long handle NF yet.
Yeah, you haven't really hit that
I can't
yet.
really say much on that because I haven't really hit it. But I do really like the feedback of the NF. I think it has a good feel to it. But at the same time, now with how I've been playing recently, I probably would lean more towards the Gearbox.
Yeah.
I think play-wise, maybe doesn't quite feel exactly how I would like. Overall, I'd probably pick the Gearbox over the NF.
Sure.
Would be my preference.
And is that just because you just want more pop and power?
More pop and power. I think I'm at a point where I can control it, and I don't need... like the sweet spot's fine. Sweet spot's big enough on it. I think it's just sometimes resets can be popped up a little bit more, but just managing that, other than that, it's got great spin, good power, enough control. I think all around it's good. So at the level and area I'm in, I would take that over the NF.
Yeah, and then I think if I'm looking at it for myself, like if I'm thinking what I'd go play best with, it would be the NF.
Sure.
But that's just always how my style has leaned. Like I actually just wrote this comment the other day, someone was asking, and it on the Boomstik video, but it was about like what basically I was writing like what have my mains been? If you look at historically my paddle preference, paddles like the 11624 Vapor Power, the Carbon 2 Genesis, Vatic Pro Saga, Honolulu J2K, 6.0 DBD, and then the Gearbox Pro Power Elongated was in there. Everything that I have consistently liked and used for a long time has never been a super juiced paddle.
Yeah.
It's always been something closer to all court, maybe the bottom of power. And that's what I find I play best with. Now the Boomstik is like making me change my mind. As I've played with more power paddles, I feel like I'm able to use them more. So I'm thinking about it. But the GX2 specifically, as it's broken in, resets have gotten a lot harder for me. And I don't feel comfortable resetting. The J2 I don't even think about it. It's fine. And I have enough power. So figure out for you, do you want a lot of power? Then Gearbox, especially after it breaks in. If you don't want that much power and you're like, I want power, but I don't want it to be unmanageable, J2NF. But I don't think you can't give a definitive unless you know what you want there.
Yeah.
It's just different things for different people.
I also think just because I like playing PPAs and qualifiers.
Well, yeah.
I'm gonna need a UPA approved paddle just because of that fact.
Totally.
I lean more towards Gearbox.
Totally. All right. This is a great question. Is it bad to switch paddles a lot? How do you truly know if you really like or are good with a paddle? I personally think that for a lot of people, within 10 hours of hitting a paddle, you're probably going to know if it works. If it works, you will, like, it's like a feeling you can't describe, but you will know. Mm-hmm. You're playing great with it. It feels good. And if it's really off, you're probably going to know quick. I don't need long to know if a paddle is going to work for me anymore.
I can tell you within half a game if I'm going to like a paddle or not.
Yeah. Now, I do think things can change. Weight can obviously change an opinion. Like, there are things that can modify it. But I think for most people, you're going to know pretty quick. I don't think you need a lot of time. Like, maybe some weight will change your opinion, but that's about it.
Well, there are also just base characteristics of paddles that preferences you will like or don't like. I don't prefer stiffer feeling paddles like the Paddle Techs.
Which is funny because the Boomstik is stiffer.
But not like the Paddle Techs where it feels like I'm hitting a board. I still feel like it has enough of a plush rebound to it where it grabs the ball, where the Paddle Techs is like, I just knocked on a door.
Sure.
Like, that's what I feel like I'm hitting with.
Yeah.
So, yeah. There's just certain base preferences that you know immediately, oh, not a huge fan of this, or it's fine.
Yeah, totally. So I just think you'll know. You'll know for sure. And if it's off, you're going to be like, yeah, I don't feel that comfortable with this.
But to answer the first question, yes, switching paddles a lot is bad. Yes. I guarantee this guy would be better than he is now if he did not have to switch paddles constantly. I tell people all the time, like, you don't need a new paddle. It's like, you're fine. Also, I think an interesting aspect of this is, why are you playing pickleball? Are you doing it to get better and solely here for competitiveness, or are you doing it for fun? Because we've hit paddles that are a lot of fun, but we don't necessarily
GX2
play the best
power.
with, right? Like,
totally.
The GX2, fun, but maybe you don't play your best level pickleball with it, and that's fine. If you're just playing for fun, that's great. Pick a paddle that makes you enjoy the game the most. But
and if switching brings you joy, switch.
Do that, exactly. Do whatever makes you the happiest in the sport, because that's really what we're all here for. But if you're here to just get better, a lot of times the paddle that you play the best with is not the most exciting.
Yeah, completely agree.
Like, I accepted the fact that the Shogun, not necessarily the most exciting paddle out there, but I play the best with that.
Yeah.
And I just knew that. That's why I stuck with it for so long. I was like, why are you using that paddle? There's better stuff out there. Yeah, but I play best with this.
Exactly.
And I just knew that.
Exactly. I think that's what everyone needs to, like, really ask themselves that question and be like, do I just think this is fun, or do I actually play better with it? And that's why historically I've played more all-core paddles. They're not that exciting, but it gets the job done, and I feel like I play competitive good pickleball with it.
Yep.
Next up on the question is, let's see here.
Mains?
Yeah. What are our mains right now? We kind of already went over that. Boomstik and an unannounced paddle.
Yep.
And then for me, if I'm going to a tournament, J2, NF. I haven't decided. I got to wait more stuff to get sorted out with this long handle. I got to wait for another one, blah, blah, blah. I actually don't know if I mind the short handle one that bad. Like, on paper, yes. But I think when I play with it, I'm fine. So still deciding there, but like I have a tournament next week. Probably going to play with that. I might consider the Boomstik. If I get some extra games in this week, I might think about it because in mixed, I was playing pretty well with the Boomstik, but we'll see. But it's I would say those two is like what I've narrowed it down to.
That makes sense.
Then after that, can using a difficult paddle, like a Boomstik, Flick F1, or other power paddle make you a better player? This is tricky. I think a lot of people think about this too much. They think, you know what? If I want to be the best, I need to use the paddle with the highest skill ceiling. Flick F1, super high skilling. Boomstik, high skill ceiling. Pro 4, high skill ceiling. I think people see that and go, I'm only ever going to hit 5.0 if I learn to use that right now. I do not think that is true at all.
I disagree so much with this. Yeah. Not you. With the whole thing.
I think that can be true. Like, let's say you were going to take someone who was new and their only objective was to get to qualifiers as fast as humanly possible. Yes, I might consider starting that person off with more poppy paddles and developing their skill set to get used to that early. But like, look, if you're casually trying to get better or you're just kind of playing for fun, I would not tell you to use that. Don't chase the like potential of that because the other paddles still have a ton of potential, right? Let's look at, I mean, everyone uses this example. It's probably beaten to death at this point. Augie. He's using a Vatic Prism Flash and winning Major League Pickleball. If he can do that, I promise you can probably win your 4-0 rec matches with an all-court paddle.
With whatever.
Like, it all depends on what you are trying to achieve.
Yeah.
I think it can be true, but I also think for some people, they get that in their head early and they stunt themselves because they're just playing with something that's too hard. Mm-hmm. And if you're not drilling that much, it's going to take even longer.
It also depends on the style of player you are. Are you somebody who wants to get to the kitchen and play really slow? Are you a banger and want to hit drives or just have bigger swings in general? Because look at someone like Gabe Tardio. He plays with a control paddle and he's said multiple times that he doesn't want a more powerful paddle because he likes to swing a lot and swing big. He would hit the ball out and deep and long way more if he had a paddle with more power.
Yeah.
And so he just prefers something that he allows him to have bigger swings.
Yeah.
So it just comes down to what type of player are you?
Yeah, for sure. And I think, if you are one player, you're like, man, I just really want to be a banger. Like, sure, go for it. But you might take a hit in the short term.
Yeah. It also comes down to, again, does that bring you more joy in the game? If yes, then yeah, play with the power paddle. But I don't think it will make you a better player. I think there are elements that can, if you know what you're doing. Because if you're someone who swings big and then uses a power paddle, that's not going to automatically get you to shorten and tighten your swing, or at least do it properly, right? There are proper ways to do that with good technique. And just because you're using a power paddle does not mean you're going to start doing it automatically.
Totally.
Actually having a lesson or someone show you or teach you how to do it properly with whatever paddle you're using is the right step, not just, I'm going to buy this paddle and I'm going to adjust to it.
Totally. Completely agree. All right, next up, this was a good question. Shouldn't the J2NF be one of the most powerful paddles because of the high PBCoR? We've talked about this on and off, and maybe it's another example of we haven't done a good enough job talking about it recently. But yes, I've said this many times. PBCoR, we have seen enough tests at this point. I'm not saying it's useless. I do think the game has gotten slower than before PBCoR. When we had gearboxes and mods, it was bad. Those were hotter. So the game has gotten a little slower. We are kind of introducing some pretty powerful paddles back in, like the Flick F1. I don't really understand that one, but whatever. Doesn't matter. Objectively, we've gotten slower. So, okay, that has been good. But companies advertise these numbers. They'll say, we are 0.433. We are the most powerful paddle pickleball has ever seen. You can't get more powerful than us without being illegal. But then you'll see two paddles with the same PBCoR, and they do not play even close to the same for power. I mean, if we look at, I don't know what the Boomstik PBCoR was. Let's just say it probably wasn't completely maxing it out because you're flirting with danger if you are. J2NF did. Boomstik hits harder.
Yeah.
Like there are the Flick F1. Let's just say it maxed it out. It definitely hits harder than a J2NF. So in terms of like when people like quote these numbers and they're like, it's the most legal powerful paddle, stop. That number does not really translate that well to power on court and what you're going to experience. If suddenly everyone knew every PBCoR number for every paddle, they'd be like, this doesn't make any sense.
Could you imagine if the equivalent was with like cars and horsepower, where it was like, we have a 500 horsepower car, but one is like an F1 car that goes 200 miles an hour, and then the other is a Toyota Prius that goes 80, you know? Like, that's how the PBCoR feels. It's like, yeah, these numbers are both the max we can get, but
the performance is very different.
So different. They're not even the same realm.
Yeah.
It just, it doesn't make sense, and it makes it frustrating for companies marketing.
Yeah, so I really would not put that much weight in PBCoR. At this point, all you need to know it's like useful for is, did it pass or fail? Is it approved? Is it not?
Is the paddle approved? Is it not? That's all that matters.
And there are obviously paddles, like some power paddles that consistently will rank higher in PBCoR. I'm not saying it's like, the most worthless, useless thing ever, but I don't think it's that. If you're going to do small margins like 0.42 versus 0.43, it's not going to tell you if it's actually more powerful. So that's my opinion on that.
Yep.
Okay, next up. This is a question for you, actually.
I see this.
What's your favorite Ghost flavor?
Dude, I mean, where do I even begin? all of them. They're all amazing.
They can't all be good.
I lean towards certain flavors, but I haven't had one that I thought was like, oh, this is bad. Every Ghost I've had has been amazing.
Sure.
Now, I will say, sad days. Ghost did get bought out by Dr. Pepper for like $1 billion. And they are having to discontinue some of their flavors because they're losing the license with the other companies. The Warheads flavors, by far the best. I love sour things, and the sour apple, oh my gosh, incredible. I'm actually so sad I don't have one on this table right now. I drank one this morning. They're so good. So any super sour flavors, but sadly those ones are getting discontinued. But the ones that are staying, and I know they're going to be making more new flavors, the electric limeade is probably one of my favorite. That one is so unbelievably good. But yeah, Ghost, they're all incredible.
All right.
I'm excited to see the new flavors that they come out with. I've seen some like theories on what might be coming. Very excited.
For sure. All right, we've got two more. First, has paddle technology peaked? No. I think it wasn't until thermoforming came out that people started saying this. They'd be like, we've peaked. We can't hit harder. We can't get more spinny. And somehow we always get more. Okay? Somehow it always gets better. Look, and I think what happens is like once we've capped power, now it forces companies to work on other things. Okay, cool. We used to be able to have tons of power, but our sweet spot sucked. Let's fix that. Now they're working on that. And I think as other things start maxing out, like, okay, foam cores, kind of solving the core crushing problem. And like that, we eliminate that. Now let's work on textures. We know some companies, obviously Selkirk's got their Infinigrit, which we'll find out. Other companies are working on this. And I think now that they can stop worrying about their cores breaking, it's like they can put effort into other things that matter too, which is like longevity and durability. So I think when we talk about technology peaking, it's like there's a lot of things that could mean. Like to me, we've peaked when paddles like stop breaking, or really stupid things like edge guards.
Yeah, edge guards never come loose.
Grit.
They stop cracking.
Yep.
Different, just design, textures, all kinds of things.
I think we've still got, my opinion, probably 3 to 5 years before we hit something even close to tennis, where it's like, dude, it doesn't really matter. It's all kind of the same, or maybe this company has this proprietary technology and this one has this. I think we're probably 3 to 5 years before we hit that.
We will hit it at some point, but I don't think we're anywhere near it.
Yeah. Now, who knows? Maybe we'll have a completely different core than foam. Right?
Very possible.
Yeah.
I never thought, you ask any of us 2 years ago, never would have thought foam would have been an entire core.
Well, it kind of even wasn't even supposed to be because of how rules were in.
Well, yeah, when we thought about EVA, like when the Vice came out, we were like, okay, this shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah. So I don't think it's peaked. I think we've still got time and other attributes that companies can work on and be great. I think segments like control paddles, I don't know how we can improve those much more outside of sweet spot. Spin across everything is like largely equal. And it's like control paddles are already really good. So what do you make better about them? I don't know. Like they're pretty durable already. Their spin's fine. Sweet spot's the only thing I can think.
Price is getting lower.
Yeah, they're already those are some of the lowest for performance paddles. So we'll see. And then the last one is, why would anyone buy a Gen 3? This is an interesting question. And I think when you think about foam paddles, you're like, okay, these have, like, let's take the Boomstik. If you're comparing that to a Pro 4, on paper you go, the Boomstik shouldn't really break. Why would I ever buy a Pro 4 when it can break? And we know it breaks. But here's the thing. Even with that, I just think there are so many people who they like what they like. They have a preference in feel. Like, the Pro 4 is still a good performance paddle. Like, I know it gets ragged on a lot because it core crushes. And I think that is worthy of being talked about and kind of being ragged on. But you can't deny that while the paddle is not broken, that it is good. It is objectively an amazing performing paddle when that doesn't happen. And if you can put up with the warranty claims, or maybe you don't even break them, maybe you're one of the lucky ones that they don't break, awesome. Keep using it. It's awesome. But I do think that some of these foam core paddles are making it less appealing to buy a Gen 3. But I think that there's just some of those paddles that they feel a certain way, and people like how that feels.
100%. The feedback that it gives is just extremely satisfying, and people have learned to like it. And once people find something they like, think of Fed, they hold on to it, you know? And so that's the main reason.
Yeah. So it's a lot of times it's just like, what do you value in a paddle? And like, are you willing to put up with the trade-offs, right? I talked about this in a comment the other day, but it's like, to me, even if I could get the Pro 4s for free, like, you know, as a reviewer, we can get paddles for free. I still like to compete, and I don't want to take a bunch of paddles to a tournament or worry that in the middle of the tournament it's going to start changing, or the day before. Like, that's why I've largely used paddles that are more stable. Like I said, DBD, Vatic Pro Saga, 11.624, Alpha Pro Power, Honolulu J2K, like these types of things are pretty stable. And the Pro Power, which I used to main, became not stable, and I was like, yeah, I'm out. I can't recommend this anymore. I don't want to use this anymore. So it's all dependent on your trade-offs. If you can put up with that, or you get unlimited paddles, by all means, it's a good paddle. Yep. If everyone could have unlimited paddles and not pay for them, yeah, I could tell you, like, use a Pro 4. But I have to tell you and warn you that it might break. So it's all just dependent. I think Gen 3 still have a place, but I think it's going to get smaller and smaller and smaller as foam core paddles change more and more. To me, the Boomstik gives you some of that Gen 3 feel, that hollow, like loud, like stiffer feel that some of those offer, where some of the other foam cores have been more dense, maybe more dampened, muted. The Boomstik is now changing that, and I'm sure we're going to see that more and more. So that's kind of my take.
Totally agree.
So, all right. I don't know how long this, actually, I can probably see.
Almost 2 hours.
Whew. Hour 42. This is a long one, guys. This is the longest one we've had in a long time. If you made it this far, drop a comment. Like, what's the word they should use? Say, just call me a 3.5. Let me know I'm a 3.5.
No. Everyone does that. Everyone does that. No.
Think of something better then.
This has nothing to do with pickleball, but it's a trending thing right now. If you are here right now, comment the word lizard.
I think I saw that, actually. Yes. I think I've seen this trend.
If you are listening to this right now, comment the word in your comment, or a new one, lizard.
All right. Works for me. If you made it this far, you're a real one. Thanks for sticking around through the kitchen.
Yep.
And we'll catch you guys next week.
Peace.